So word in from the flyweight champion, the women's flyweight champion, Valentina the Bullet Shevchenko. She names her next opponent. She has an opponent in mind for when she's going to come back. Of course, Amanda Nunes is on her bucket list, but not on top of the list. And she did actually mention Zhang Weili and finally actually put some respect on Zhang's name. But said, of course, all the improvement she made, it's not going to help her when we fight, which, fair enough. I can respect that. I kind of agree with that. But in an interview with the Schmo, she said that she wants to fight Manon Fiorot and that Talia Santos has to earn the shot and that she has a big ego and she has to prove... she's got to prove that she's deserving of the shot. And here's the full context of what she said. So Talia, she kind of has to prove about herself that she deserves this title fight again because she recently started to speak too much. And these kind of girls, young girls, they have a few victories, some losses, and they have too much ego. And they are starting to speak about something like they are something. I mean, she is something. I mean, arguably, Talia Santos is the one that beat Valentina Shevchenko unofficially in some people's minds, including my mind. So she is something, and even if she's not the one who beat Valentina, and officially she isn't, people know Talia as the woman who came closest to dethroning Valentina Shevchenko. Maybe caught Val on her worst night, who knows, doesn't matter. But they're now going to see Talia as a beast and that she is something special. And people do see her as a force to be reckoned with in the flyweight division. So I don't know if I agree with that, but here's more on what she said. But unfortunately, laughs, this is fighting.
This is fighting. These are the rules. You have to show exactly beautiful fight that you deserve. But for now, I don't see in her. That's why she has to build her name up again to get this chance from the promotion.
Okay, Valentina, first of all, I know you're the champion and, as a champ, you get to call the shots, but you kind of don't get to call the shots. You have to fight whoever the promotion tells you to fight. And if the UFC says that Talia Santos is next, you're fighting Talia Santos next, and there's nothing you can do about it, girl. There ain't nothing you can do, okay? And honestly, I think the promotion would actually lean more towards Talia over Manon Fiorot because, honestly, Manon, her performance over Caitlin Chukagian was meh. Talia Santos, I think given her performance against you, even though, officially it wasn't a win, it was a split decision in a fight that you arguably lost 3 rounds to 2. You arguably lost 3 rounds to 2 and you won by split decision. It's a fight that many fans thought should have gone the other way. So if anything, if anyone has to prove something, Valentina, it's you. Arguably, you shouldn't be champion right now. Arguably, Talia should be the current undisputed women's flyweight champion, and you should be redeeming yourself right now in this immediate rematch. And, you're kind of lucky because if Talia got the decision, you would have no choice but to fight her again. And, of course, you'd want to fight her again as a competitor to get it back. But, you're on the winning end. You got the decision. But still, I still feel like you have no choice. If the UFC says it, you're fighting her next. You're fighting her next. Talia doesn't really have to, I wouldn't be against her working her way back up, but she doesn't really have to work her way back up. It's not like you completely shut her out. You didn't completely dominate her. It wasn't convincing enough. So based off that and Talia's performance alone, that could be enough to warrant an immediate rematch, and that might be the next fight. And that is the next biggest fight, honestly, in the women's flyweight division is Shevchenko versus Santos 2. In my mind, and a lot of people's minds, for my money, Valentina has unfinished business with Talia Santos. She has something to prove. She's got to prove that fight with Talia, was a bad night and she's got to come back and make a statement. Okay, she's got to separate herself. She's got to remove Talia Santos from her crosshairs and shut people, including myself, up and make a statement. I think she's got to do that. And I think she should have the drive to want to do that, honestly. I mean, Talia's talking, right? You're saying she's talking a lot. Don't you want to shut her up? But whatever. The champ wants to fight an easier opponent. She wants an easier matchup for herself in Manon Fiorot, which she'd easily school Manon Fiorot. That fight wouldn't be competitive. So I don't know if the UFC as a business would be interested in doing that one. But if that is the next one, I mean, I wouldn't be against it. You know, Val is due for an easy win after all. And she would, quite frankly, dominate Manon Fiorot. She's just too good for Manon. Her striking is way too sharp, too clean. Manon Fiorot is way too hittable, way too sloppy compared to Valentina Shevchenko. Talia is the only real threat to her in this division, so we'll see what the UFC decides to do. If the UFC and Valentina are on the same page, then I guess we'll be seeing Shevchenko versus Fiorot next. But if they're not on the same page, then they're going to do Shevchenko versus Santos too. And I do think that is the move, honestly. But with that being said, I am glad to hear from Valentina. You know, I'm glad that she does have an opponent in mind. I'm not sure when she's planning on coming back, but, you know, she wants to fight the number one contender, so I can't really knock on her for that. I'm just not behind what she said about Talia Santos. I don't fully agree with what she said, but I'm not against her wanting to fight the number one contender, because after Santos, I guess Manon is like the next, I guess, reasonable fight, because she's the number one contender, and I think she's undefeated, or at least on a win streak, undefeated in the UFC. So it's going to be one or the other. And then if she gets through both, then inevitably she's got to move up and challenge for that women's bantamweight title, because there's really no interest in the women's flyweight division. If she beats Talia Santos, who's the only one who can beat her, and then smokes Fiorot, she has nothing left. Well, there's Alexa Grasso, but she'll probably beat her too. And if she does, yeah, it's that Amanda Nunes trilogy that's got to happen. Don't even bother with the Zhang Weili fight. However, I think we can all agree that a majority of the fans would rather see Shevchenko run it back with Talia Santos over her easily running through Manon Fiorot. That's easy work. I think we want to see Valentina get tested again. We want to see her get put to the test, and we want to see if she can actually do it convincingly this time. It's what the fans want to see, and the UFC as a business, they're inclined to give the fans what they want. Whatever makes the most money is what the UFC is going to do. And if they decide it is going to be Talia Santos, it will be Shevchenko versus Santos too. I'm done.